A tale of madness. In the quiet town of Ridgeview, nestled deep within the heart of the countryside, there was a family that everyone knew. The Darlington family had lived in their stately home for generations, a sprawling manor that loomed over the town like a silent sentinel. To outsiders, they seemed like any other family, hardworking, close-knit, and devoted to one another. But beneath the surface, something dark was festering. It all began with the death of the patriarch, Henry Darlington, a man who had been both feared and respected in the town. He was a strict man, a traditionalist who believed in keeping the family legacy alive at any cost. When Henry passed away suddenly from a heart attack, the family was devastated. His eldest son, Richard, took on the burden of leadership, but he was never the same after his father's death. Richard began to withdraw from the world, spending more and more time alone in his father's study, a room that no one else in the family dared to enter. The study was filled with relics from the past, old books, strange artifacts, and Henry's meticulously kept journals. Richard, once a lively and sociable man, became obsessed with these writings, convinced that his father was still speaking to him from beyond the grave. It wasn't long before Richard started to claim that Henry's spirit was visiting him at night, whispering secrets and warnings in his ear. He told the family that their home was cursed, that dark forces were conspiring against them, and that they needed to perform a ritual to cleanse their house and save their souls. At first, the family dismissed Richard's claims as the ramblings of a man consumed by grief. But as the weeks went on, his behavior became more erratic, and the family began to worry. Richard was so certain, so insistent, that eventually they started to believe him. After all, Ridgeview was a place where the old ways still held sway, where the line between the living and the dead was not always clear. The ritual Richard proposed was bizarre and terrifying. He claimed that it had been revealed to him in a dream, a gift from their father's spirit. It involved a test of faith, a trial that would see them all suspended between life and death, but Richard assured them that they would be saved by their father's intervention at the last moment. The date was set for a cold, moonless night in December. Richard instructed the family to gather ropes, stools, and blindfolds, and to meet in the great hall at midnight. They were to prepare themselves as if they were going on a great journey, one that would take them to the edge of the afterlife and back. As the night approached, an uneasy silence settled over the Darlington household. The younger members of the family, Richard's brothers and sisters, were filled with dread, but they dared not disobey. The old ways were sacred, and Richard's conviction was so strong that it seemed almost heretical to question him. When the night finally came, the family gathered in the great hall as instructed. The room was cold and dark, the only light coming from the flickering candles that cast eerie shadows on the walls. Richard stood at the center, his eyes burning with a feverish intensity. He handed out the ropes and blindfolds, his hands shaking with anticipation. One by one, the family members climbed onto their stools, tying the ropes around their necks and covering their eyes. Richard moved among them, whispering words of comfort and encouragement, assuring them that their father's spirit was watching over them, that they would be saved. As the clock struck midnight, the moment of truth arrived. Richard gave the signal, and with trembling hands, each member of the family stepped off their stool. In that instant, the house was filled with a deafening silence, broken only by the creaking of the ropes and the soft thud of the stools hitting the floor. But the salvation Richard had promised never came. There was no intervention, no miraculous rescue. The family members, one by one, succumbed to the darkness, their lives slipping away as the ropes tightened around their necks. The next morning, the town of Ridgeview awoke to a chilling sight. The Darlington house, once so full of life, was now a tomb. Neighbors who came to check on the family were met with a scene of unimaginable horror. 10 members of the Darlington family hanging lifelessly in the great hall, their eyes still covered, their bodies swaying gently in the cold morning air. The local authorities were baffled by what they found. The house was filled with strange writings, diaries that detailed Richard's descent into madness, his belief that he was communicating with his dead father, and his conviction that the ritual would save them all. It soon became clear that the family had been caught in the grip of a shared delusion, a mass psychosis driven by grief, fear, and the overpowering influence of Richard's disturbed mind. To this day, the Darlington house stands empty, a chilling reminder of the tragedy that took place within its walls. The people of Ridgeview speak of it in hushed tones, warning their children to stay away, to never venture near the cursed manor. Some say that at night, if you stand outside the house and listen closely, you can still hear the creak of ropes in the wind and the faint whispers of a family trapped between this world and the next, forever haunted by the madness that claimed them all. What do you think of the chilling tale of the Darlington family? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories that will keep you up at night.